The day was Wednesday, October 23rd, 1929. The Roaring Twenties were still in full swing. The economic market was still a bull. People were living in excess, filling their homes with furniture they didn't and never could pay for, and everyone was living large, thinking it was going to go on like this forever. One week later, Black Tuesday had just ended. The market had crashed. Any money invested in stocks or stored in banks was gone. Any money left over was useless due to rampant inflation. People were unemployed. On the streets, companies stopped producing. People couldn't buy or sell. The Dust Bowl had made it impossible for farmers to raise crops, and it seemed as if the whole world had stopped moving. We had officially entered the Great Depression. For 12 long years, the Great Depression reigned on. It dramatically altered the lives of people all around the world. The economy had reached its lowest point in 1932, and not until 1941, after the election of Franklin Delano Roosevelt and the start of World War II, did it officially end, and the market did not return to where it had been before the Depression until 1954. That's a span of 25 years. However, eventually we did recover, and we experienced continual economic growth henceforth. Onward, confident that because we had learned from our mistakes, and had passed the Glass-Steagall Act, that a depression like this would never happen again. Or at least so we thought. Now here we are, in 2009, almost 80 years since the first economic collapse, and once again, here we find ourselves in yet another financial crisis, the worst since the Great Depression.
It's not a word that financial experts use lightly, but a lot of them are using it today. Panic. Around the world, stock markets continued their terrifying plunge. Toronto's exchange dropped more than a heart-stopping 1,000 points in early trading, its biggest drop ever. We'll look at why more people are now predicting a worldwide...
But how did a situation like this happen again? And what exactly is its scope this time around? Well, it all started in the early 2000s, when many banks that had more money than they knew what to do with decided to try to engage in a new market and lend money for mortgages to the subprime sector. That is, people with low incomes, poor credit history, or even without jobs, who were less trustworthy and less likely to pay back their debt. These banks, then acquiring the debt from these subprime mortgages, like they would any other debts, decided to sell it to other banks and other countries, all across the world. And this seemed to well work at first. Then the mortgage payments came due. Unsurprisingly, people in the subprime sector, because they had little to no income and bad track records, failed to pay their mortgages. The natural response for this would be for the bank to take back the houses, and this might have worked, except that the housing market had dropped, which meant that the houses were now worth less than when they were sold out, and the banks couldn't get all their money back. Therefore, none of this promised money that had been spread all across the world arrived. When this happened, it caused all these banks, who were caught in this sticky situation, to become very afraid. And when banks become afraid, they start to lend out less money. And they did. And they started lending out money slower and slower. Now, why is this a problem, you ask? Because you see, the financial market is a lot like our circulatory system. It only works if things keep flowing. With the financial market, it's money. With our circulatory system, it's blood. And when the banks stopped lending money and things stopped flowing, it causes basically the equivalent of a clogged artery. And we all know what happens when your arteries get clogged. And that's what caused this new Great Depression. Now the question remains, will this new economic depression be as terrible as the Great Depression? Odds are probably not, but only the future will tell.